Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome into a brand new episode of the Review at Rob Show. Appreciate you hitting that play and coming over here to hang out with me, man. On this episode, we'll be talking about the film The Goonies. The Goonies celebrated its 40th anniversary recently, just over the weekend. It celebrated its 40th anniversary, and this guy, watched it for the first time ever. I know what you're saying. How is that even possible that somebody has not seen The Goonies in all this time? It happened. But I did finally watch it, and I can give my review on that, especially in the aspect of film that's been around for 40 years. Does it stand the test of time and all that stuff? Like, I've just watched it very clearly for the first time ever, so I can let you in on if it stands the test of time as far as I'm concerned as well. A lot of horror news to talk about. We had some goodies happening in the realm of horror to go over with this week's episode, man. So again, appreciate you coming over here to hang out with me. Without further ado, let's go ahead and look into this 80s film, The Goonies. Again, celebrating its 40th anniversary. There's your lovely poster right there. The film The Goonies is rated PG, released back on June 7th, 1985, and runs in at 1 hour, 54 minutes. Film itself is classified as a kids' family adventure comedy film with a group of young misfits called the Goonies discover an ancient map and set out on an adventure to find a legendary pirate's long lost treasure. So, kind of a basic concept of a movie, right? I mean, especially in this day and age, stuff that we're probably used to as far as movies go and all that. But at that time frame, you've probably had some kind of things like that, but not like full, like kids being the main stars of these things. The 80s filled with these young stars that are just gone on to incredible things at this point in time. Obviously, you can see in the poster, Josh Brolin up front and center there. But you had Corey Feldman, who was like the king of the 80s and all the movies he did. Sean Astin, who people still love and adore to this day, man. So all kinds of things to look at as far as cast wise and all that stuff, man. But going into the Goonies for the first time, always heard about this movie. You know, of course, Corey Feldman is the main thing I've ever really knew about it, and Sean Astin being in it. I didn't really even know Josh Brolin was in it and all that stuff. But I've always heard of the Goonies and all that stuff, and I don't know why I never got around to watching it before. I don't know how that happened, to be completely honest with you, especially somebody who loves the 80s a lot. I don't know how I missed the Goonies. For some reason, it just never clicked into play that movie. So I watched it for the first time over the weekend on its 40th anniversary. I watched this film. And, to see the way this concept, like the movie starts off right away. The movie starts off right away in the freaking craziness, right? And I'm gonna talk around myself, not spoil anything. Obviously, the movie's been around for 40 years and all that stuff, but you could be people like me who hasn't seen this movie yet. So, um, but it starts off quick, like it gets going very quickly, and you understand the concept of the story they're starting to set up here between what's starting off the movie with the bad characters, if you will, and then meeting all of the young characters in the process of that going on, which I thought was freaking cool. Like, that's cool. That's an awesome setup. That's an awesome way to get your movie started and all that stuff, to get it building into connecting everything that's going on in this movie. Building into the two brothers here, played by Josh Brolin, older brother, Sean Astin, younger brother. See their dynamic and everything play out and all that stuff. All the kids eventually come over to the house because, they hang out with each other, obviously. Chunk, one of the kids, sees what was going on. He runs over here to tell him all that. He does the truffle shuffle and all that, which I've heard about. I've heard of the truffle shuffle, but I've never really seen it in action in the movie and all that stuff. Like, I've seen the GIF of it or whatever, or the quick image, movie scenes, classic movie scenes, comedy scenes, or whatever. I've seen it before. But to see it play out in the movie, hilarious, and see why it was happening, pretty hilarious. So seeing all that stuff, and then them going there, they go into the attic, stumble across this buried treasure map and all that stuff, and that sets off the pace of where the movie's going to end up going from there. And of course, older brother's like, we can't do this because older brother's going to do that, right? Older brother's supposed to do that, supposed to take care of the little brother. They bill it as the younger brother's got asthma and all that stuff. Mom's very protective, doesn't want to go out in the world and all that stuff. So they build that. It goes into this adventure and all that stuff. In the adventure, they run into these bad characters and everything, and just all kinds of nonsense and calamity and stuff goes on with that. At the same time, Josh Brolin's going to get these kids, find them, and all that stuff. Freaking runs into the girl he's interested in. Other guy is there. There's a problem. Girl that he's interested in, her friend, and all that stuff. So these characters all come together at this one point at this place while looking for the map, and they go on this adventure with all kinds of calamity going on around it at that point in time and all that stuff. So easy breezy film, man. Like, really cool, fast paced, kept me like right and not locked in the whole time. Like, I was locked into this movie from the beginning because I was like, I gotta see all of this. Not even just the fact that I know it's a classic movie, an iconic movie, but the fact of how it was playing out just kept me interested, in, especially the way they framed it, the way they made it all work out, the way it paced itself and everything. Perfect, man. Like, this is one of those 80s movies that's just absolutely 100% well thought out, well put together. It's the different vibe of like 80s movies. Like, yeah, some of them get like over the top and ridiculous, but a lot of those movies are classics in the 80s because of that very reason, because they took their time. They made an effort into these movies. And on top of that, the most majority of the movie is freaking it's real. Like, it feels real, right? You get your group of friends together and want to go on an adventure searching for buried treasure. Like, you can imagine that. Like, you can imagine something like that happening in this day and age. Something like that happening, maybe not. I mean, there are people on YouTube who do freaking adventures and explore abandoned areas and all that stuff. So it's still kind of a believable idea and all that. Kids are a little more grounded, and there's a lot more safety put around kids where they don't want them just going out anywhere. The 80s, 90s, all that stuff, not that much of a thing. Like, parents would send you outside to play, and then when the street light comes on, come home and all that stuff. Like, it's a different vibe now than it was back then, as far as like group of friends getting together and just going off and going on adventures and all that stuff and playing around in the woods or whatever and just going here and all that stuff. Obviously, this, of course, is big, grandiose adventure of going after a treasure. The older brother gets involved in all that stuff. Like, it's a bigger vibe and all that stuff. So comparing it between then and now, like, that's one of the things you can probably run into and all that stuff. But the film is freaking still brilliant, smart, practical. That's the word I was looking for earlier. The film is very practical. Like, there's not a lot of stuff in this movie that's altered in like certain ways. There's a little bit, especially it's mostly towards the end, right? And those areas where you'll run into that a little bit, but for the most part, it's all practical, which leads into the beneficial factor of it today. If it stands the test of time, yes, it absolutely does. It still looks great. It's very well put together. It was very well thought out. um the acting is good and all that stuff, especially for like 80s movies and all that stuff. The acting is very good. I feel like I'm talking bad about 80s. There's a lot of good 80s movies and all that stuff, but and just again, just imagining this and looking at, like, me, the thing I'm mostly used to with Josh Brolin is playing freaking Thanos, right? So seeing him, which I saw in an interview, this is like his first movie. I was like, holy crap, man! This guy went from this movie, was good in this movie, to being one of the big stars that's around today and all that stuff. Again, Corey Feldman, huge star still to this day, doesn't do a lot movie wise. Like, he's not as big of a factor as he was in the 80s, because like anywhere you turn, Corey Feldman was in something, man. This, The Lost Boys, freaking Dream a Little Dream, Friday the 13th. Like, he was in all kinds of stuff back in the 80s. Like, he was the king of the 80s, man. And Sean Astin, he was in a good amount of movies as well in the 80s, and we still love him to this day. A lot of people just ran into him again with Stranger Things a couple years ago, obviously, but ran into him with Stranger Things. Like, we've known Sean Astin forever. We love Sean Astin. And just seeing all those stuff. And the other people in the movie were good too. Ki Hu Kwan is in this freaking movie, who's just had a huge comeback with Everything Everywhere All at Once a couple years ago, but he's been on that comeback trail for a while. And just, again, just seeing all these people at a different point in time in their careers and everything. Like, the movie is action, it's adventure, it's got some thriller aspect to it, man. I know it didn't say it in that rating and all that, family friendly kid stuff. I don't know, man. Again, the 80s were a different monster. Like, PG in the 80s, completely different than PG now. But in that movie, like, they had some, like, there's a little bit of cussing in it. There's some sexual innuendos in it and all that stuff. But for the most part, it's a mystery adventure film that we're trying to find this treasure. We're going on this adventure with them. There's all kinds of things they're running into during this adventure, which puts you on the thriller aspect and the mystery aspect of how are they going to get through this? Can they get through this? And all that stuff. Like, what a well put together movie, man. Like, I understand why people love this movie so much all this time later, and why people still freak out so much about it and love it and all that stuff. Like, it's right up there, top tier 80s films for sure. So I'm going to watch it. I kind of want to watch it again already, but I'm definitely going to watch this movie again and again and again now that I've, finally seen it, after all the years. And just, I understand it, man. I get it. So I love the Goonies. Happy 40th anniversary to the Goonies. Goonies are awesome. They're fantastic. That's cool. I enjoyed every single aspect of this movie. Like, there's nothing that I can pick up on this movie where I was like, I didn't enjoy that. Like, that was a good time from start to finish. I'm like, heck yeah, this is very well done. So yeah, the Goonies is awesome. I mean, come on, who you can't complain about. And when you look at, like, the people who bought this, a Spielberg film feels like a freaking Spielberg film, right? And it's Chris Columbus behind it, who's got a long track record as well. You've got a Donner behind it, freaking So well done, man. I like the Goonies. So late to the party. So late to the party on this one, but absolutely thoroughly enjoyed the Goonies. So if you've seen the Goonies, sound off in the comments with your anniversaries of the 40th anniversary, shout outs and all that good stuff. Tell me your favorite scene for the movie and all that. Keep it spoiler free as possible for people like myself who, just now seen it. But, nonetheless, the Goonies absolutely deserves its classic feel and absolutely stands the test of time as far as movies go, man. So the Goonies, awesome ride that movie was, man. All right, let's jump into horror news. It is very hot in this room that I'm recording in, so if I look sweaty, that is why. But let's see. So going into horror, the biggest news in horror is that the Saw franchise has a new half owner, as Blumhouse has jumped in and taking over the rights of Saw from Twisted Pictures. So now it's Lionsgate and Blumhouse that'll be taking over this. Remember that Blumhouse, not just Blumhouse, remember that Twisted Pictures ran into some kind of drama. There, the Saw 11 was kind of pushed back, and in this, area where it was announced, but then they kind of couldn't keep it going because of whatever reason. Um, so like the future looked bad for it. But now Blumhouse taking over, which kind of puts it back in the wheelhouse of James Wan. Remember James Wan, who helped start the franchise? He's in teaming. His Atomic Monsters teamed up with Blumhouse over there. So he's back in the reins, and he's kind of talking about wanting to do, if he was going to do it, they would do a reboot of it. So Saw might be starting over, man. We'll see when more news comes out, but Saw might be starting over. But the good news is Saw will continue. I know some people are like iffy on Blumhouse, which I can kind of understand. Some of their movies are hit and miss, but I give Blumhouse credit where credit's due. They kick out the jams over there, and they give us a lot of horror content, good or bad. They're still giving us stuff to watch, man, and I appreciate that, and I enjoyed that. Sometimes you can find some gems, man. I remember watching, I think it was on Prime. I can't remember if it was. I think it was Prime where Blumhouse did like some movies that only went to Prime. It was like Blumfest or something like that. And I remember watching one of those movies. I'm like, that's pretty good, man. So yeah, again, hit and miss with Blumhouse, but that's most movie studios, right? And I enjoy what they've done, and can't wait to see what they end up doing with Saw, man. If they're rebooting it, if they continue, we'll see where they go from there. But interesting times nonetheless. Let's see. Speaking of horror franchises, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is looking for its next film, and it looks like Jordan Peele, Osgood Perkins, and Taylor Sheridan are some of the names in the talks for that. So Taylor Sheridan, I think he does like the Western show, if I'm correct. I don't know. Really don't know. I've heard that name, but I can't really pinpoint what he's behind. Osgood Perkins, interesting, but I'm sorry. I didn't like that monkey film that much. And I know I'm not alone. I've seen a lot of people think that movie is not as good as I do. But there are people who love that movie as well. And again, movies are subjective. So you're going to run into stuff like that. But um, I don't know how I'd feel about that. A long legs version of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know. And then Jordan Peele, like I've enjoyed all three of his movies so far, right? Freaking Get Out, Us, and Nope. So the idea of thinking of what his Texas Chainsaw Massacre is interesting. Just try to figure out what that would be and everything. But I do trust him. He's got a good track record as far as I'm concerned, and I've enjoyed all three of his films. So if he wanted to take on a franchise that I'm honestly not the biggest fan of, that would probably be one of the times where I'm like, cool, let's see what he can do with it. I think I saw the name. God, what's that guy's name? That's in all the movies now. Glenn Powell. I saw his name attached to this as well, so I don't know what that'll be. But nonetheless, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is looking for his next thing. Netflix was one of the names that are in there. That's the last time we saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre was that Netflix film. So we'll see. We'll see. Is Blumhouse jump in on this as well? Who knows? But that's what's going on there. Mike Flanagan gave us an update on The Exorcist. Remember, he's taking over the Exorcist films now. He's doing his own. And that was supposed to come out next year on March 13th, 2026. But Mike Flanagan has let us know that, quote, production hasn't started. We need to finish Carrie first. No way it's coming out next March. However, nothing to worry about, though. So it's still in the process, but he hasn't gotten to it because he's doing the Carrie project. And Carrie, classic horror franchise, they're doing a show. So they're doing a Carrie show that he's working on as well. So when that gets done, he'll get over to The Exorcist and all that stuff, which I'm fine. Like the Exorcist franchise, like that first movie is absolute icon status. One of my all-time favorite horror films, definitely top 5 for me for sure. And then you know, feel how you want about the other ones. I liked the show. The show was fun, good on Fox. I think it was on Fox. And then I liked Believer. Like I don't know what people were upset about when it comes to Exorcist Believer. Like I enjoyed that movie a good bit. Loved the haunted house going through that Halloween Horror Nights. So quick plug. I have a show Into the Fog on this here YouTube channel as well, talking Halloween Horror Nights and all that stuff. Please check that out as well. Um, but I like that movie, but I think that movie got met with a lot of hate because people were upset with Dave Gordon Green about what he did with Halloween. The last two movies there, not so much the first one. Like everybody loved 2018, or pretty much everybody loved 2018. But Kills and Ends, a lot of people didn't like, especially Ends. Um, I need to watch those movies again, but I liked Exorcist Believer. I thought he did a good job with that. So nonetheless, this is a property that's I'm interested in. I like Mike Flanagan's work. You know, everything I've seen from him, I've enjoyed as well. So I think it's in good hands. I think he'll do something very fitting to the franchise and continuing it to a new level from where it's at. So, and it's already on icon status. So, I think the level's not going to change. Obviously, it's already on iconic status, but to take it to I don't know. Again, I like Believer, so I don't even know what I'm trying to say here. I just think he's going to do a good job. Let's put it there. I think he's going to do a really good job with it. He does a good job with that haunting stuff. And then, of course, it's a possession film, but you know what I mean. Let's see. And then last thing to talk about here, which I don't know why you get more of this, but we should be getting more of this. But nonetheless, A24 is developing a new adaptation of Edgar Allan Poe's The Mask of Red Death. Um, Oscar-winning actress Mikey Madison, who you know from Honora, that's where she won it. She was also in the Scream franchise, is in talks to star in the film. The original Poe story follows a prince who attempts to avoid a dangerous plague known as the Red Death by hiding in his abbey. Poe's the original was published in 1842. Man, I like this. I'm glad we're getting Edgar Allan Poe stuff. Like I've always kind of God, I feel like a couple months ago, I talked to my friend. I'm like, they should be making Edgar Allan Poe movies. Um, yeah, I like this. Like, I can't remember the last Edgar Allan Poe movie we got. Was it The Raven with John Cusack? Can't be. Maybe it was. I don't know. That movie was okay, man. Um, but yeah, bringing Edgar Allan Poe back into the forefront is fun. Like, I like that. He's got a lot of good stories, and hopefully this one does well to continue us doing more. I think A24 is kind of known for their style, and I think their style will probably play in pretty well with Edgar Allan Poe stuff. Um, Not as mind trippy, but definitely mind trippy. Like, can you imagine A24's Telltale Heart? That'd be insane. But nonetheless, I'm into it. Like, I like it. I like that Mikey Madison. Like, she's talented, man. I like her. I like what she's doing, and I've warmed up to A24. you know, um, and all that stuff. Like, I don't know. The mind trippy films kind of mess with me, which they're supposed to do. So obviously they're doing their job. Not the hugest Hereditary fan. Definitely not a Midsummer fan, which is unfortunate because I love Florence Pugh. Maybe I need to watch that movie again, but I've enjoyed a lot of A24 stuff lately. I like Neon stuff a lot as well. And again, Edgar Allan Poe stuff being back in the talks and being made into projects absolutely love. I'm into that, man. So that's gonna do it, dude. That is all the news, and that is the review of the Goonies 40 years later, man. Not 40 years later. I wasn't alive when this movie came out, but you know what I mean. Celebrating its 40th anniversary and all that stuff. Absolutely loved that movie. If you love the Goonies, put it in the comments, man. We love the Goonies. Everybody loves the Goonies. We all want to be Goonies. But nonetheless, that's gonna do it for this episode. Appreciate you taking the time. I'm an idiot. I'm a goofball, but I'm a passionate goofball, and that's what matters. And what also matters is you, man. You matter. Trust in yourself, believe yourself, chase your goals, go after those dreams. Just keep going, man. You're going to get through there. You're going to achieve those amazing, amazing things, man, because you are capable of incredible things and you truly matter, man. Trust yourself, give yourself some love, and spread the positivity and love out in the world. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, week, month, year. As always, remember that happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one only remembers turn on the light. Talk to you all next review.